number of perfectly sane and reliable people have been involved in this flying saucer.
For whatever reason, the big science journals don't want to publish their findings.
Dr. Reed is a famous investigator of psychic phenomena, but disbelievers such as you might interfere with my investigation.
The term flying saucer has become a household
There's
word.
a multitude of theories and explanations for the mysterious lights and unexplained phenomenon witnessed by millions of people around the world every year.
Since 1948, one publication has continued to bring news about paranormal phenomena and unexplained events. That magazine is Fate. And in that tradition of providing true reports of the strange and unknown, this is Fate Radio. And now, coming to you live from WGOG Digital Broadcasting, your host of Fate Radio, Todd Bates.
And a good evening, one and all. Welcome to Fate Radio Live. Let's Talk Radio.net or FateMagRadio.com. Either one of those locations, that's where you need to be. And there's a chat room right there provided for you as well. You can log in there through Facebook, Twitter as a guest. You can register there as well. That way you can change your picture in there. A lot of you folks like to do that in chat. Now, tonight we have got an amazing 2-hour special here for you on this wonderful March the 16th, 2018. Joining us this evening, none other than Kelly and Kewaunee Lapseritis. So we're going to be talking about Sasquatch, of course, communication techniques. We're going to get into different levels of communication, the psyche of the Sasquatch people, their relation to them. All of these things are coming up tonight. So you definitely want to get into chat, post your questions. We'll open up the phone lines later on in the program as well. But just a little bit about them. Kewaunee is a holistic health consultant, master herbalist, and master dowser. I'm going to get into some dowsing questions as well. That's fascinating. With a background in anthropology, of course, psychology, conservation, and holistic health. Now, he is also an author, lecturer, presenter, researcher, radio and TV guest, film consultant, and world authority on the Sasquatch phenomenon. Now, his 2 published books are The Sasquatch People and Their Interdimensional Connection, 2011, and The Psychic Sasquatch and Their UFO Connection. Now, that's going to be fascinating to discuss as well. And he has 58 years of research and personal experience with the forest people and friendly ETs. Now, his wife, Kelly, is also joining us, and she has a connection to souls of multiple dimensions, levels of consciousness. She's a clairvoyant and medium, working with several interdimensional beings, and practices ancient shamanics in addition to a spiritual life coach and wellness consultant. Now, she's also a writer, editor, publicist. It's just amazing. And if you heard them when they were on Haunted Voices Radio, it was a little over a month ago. Definitely not enough time. We had to get them back for 2 hours, and I don't even think that's going to be enough time. But definitely welcome to Fate Radio, Kelly and Kewaunee. It's great to have you.
Thank you. Thank you, Todd. Yes, so this is Kewaunee Lapseritis. Here.
Got Kewaunee Lapseritis and Kelly, both, of course, joining us here tonight, and they're connected on a speakerphone there. So if things cut out every once in a while, that just happens. That's technology, folks, and we'll definitely get past it. Everything's being recorded for you tonight as well, and because a lot of you are going to trickle in later on throughout the evening, but don't worry, we do have you covered, and we'll put that on iHeartRadio for you, iTunes, Google Play, Music. It'll be uploaded for you about 30 minutes after the live broadcast. Now, Sasquatch, it's one of the most elusive creatures out there. There's so many reported sightings, yet no one has physically captured one. Several have attempted, but the topic itself. Now you've researched all of these years, decades of research combined between the two of you, just with the Sasquatch people alone. What was your interest? What was your main interest in all of this? Kewaunee, what got you started in it?
Well, I started it actually 62 years ago. I've been researching, and I was a young man at the time, and I was very precocious and started to read every book in the library on wildlife and anything I could get a hold of with that had anything to do with the Yeti or the Sasquatch. Mm-hmm. And this was back in the late 1950s, so there wasn't hardly anything out there. But I had two experiences, encounters with them early on, but I went in denial. It was just amazing how that works. I was 13 and then again 14 at the time, and I make believe it didn't happen because they're only in the Pacific Northwest, and this was in western Massachusetts at the time, close to the Vermont border. So through the years, I simply continued, as more books came out, continued to read, and in time I earned 4 academic degrees and started teaching anthropology and for a short time, and then later became a consultant. But I stayed with this and spent weeks and even one time 5 months in one place in the wilderness.
5 months in the wilderness. Now, how old were you when you did that? That's extensive research there.
Yeah, I was 36 years old at the time.
Okay.
And this was out on a wilderness island in Lake Michigan. I spent so much of my life in the wilderness, even living on the Amazon among the Takuna Indians. So I've been all over the world. East Africa, I lived for 2 years, and later Australia and so forth. But they're in all continents. They're everywhere. And they told me back in July of 1985 that there were 7 different races of their people worldwide. And some were small, 3-4 feet high, and then some were around 5 foot, 5 to 6 feet, and so on, until you get to the real giants. They said that would be up to 15 and 20 feet tall. And though that seems absolutely outrageous, apparently it's not, because I've talked to people who have seen them. That of a gigantic size is extremely rare. Some people find 7 and 8 foot outrageous that some scientists say it couldn't be that tall. Well, sorry, they're the shortest ones. So the reason that we haven't have a body or any real scientific evidence is because the Sasquatch people are interdimensional. Mm-hmm. Though they have bodies that look more like an animal, they're 100 times more human than we are.
Really?
For example, they don't go around murdering each other. They don't start wars, and they don't destroy the environment that sustains them. And they told me they have access to 8 different dimensions. Now,
that's twice you've said that. Sorry to interrupt you. About them telling you, if you could get into that. So what you're saying is you communicate with them.
Yes. I received the shock of my life in the first week of September in 1979 in east central Wisconsin when Sasquatch and an ET spoke to me while I was walking at the edge of the woods. It was hard for me to believe at the time. I was kind of struggling with it, but they kept talking to me, the Sasquatch did, and I finally walked into the field. And when I did, an ET started talking to me as well, and they were telling me that they've been monitoring me for many years, longer than you know or understand right now, they said. And so later on, they told me they were there at the moment of my birth, and that they had been watching me all these years knowing that my personality and everything would be someone that would help them as sort of a go-between. They use the word ambassador, but I don't like the word because it's too ego attached. But we do speak for them. My 2 books speaks for them, and then the other 2 books that are out by Sunbow that we published called The Sasquatch Message to Humanity, Books 1 and 2, and the same title, Books 3 and 4, will be published this year. Kelly, my wife, they're dictating to her what to put in the books.
So
we have a special relationship with them that I never dreamed would happen, because that first time that this happened, back in '79, I was in and out of denial for 2 years, even though it kept happening.
Oh my goodness.
I thought it was a one-time thing, but it's been ongoing, and they've contacted me over 1,000 times since then.
Now, by contacting you, do they speak vocally to you? Is it telepathically? How do they communicate with both of you, Kelly, and both of you?
Yes, there's 3 kinds of telepathy. There's verbal telepathy, visual telepathy, and feeling telepathy. And sometimes I've experienced all 3 at once. But generally, it's feeling telepathy and often visual telepathy. And when you want to get something, a point across, and so on. But they've done healing work on me. They've done all kinds of things. And we've helped each other in the sense of getting out the information they want us to get out, and they refer to us as family.
That is amazing. And Kelly, what about you? How did you and Kewaunee meet, and then get into this? Have you always had an interest in Sasquatch?
I have. I've always had an interest in anything that's, kind of magical and that kind of thing. Even as a child, I enjoyed learning about subjects, about things that were, not understood, mysterious kind of things. So it wasn't necessarily specifically Sasquatch when I was young, but it did definitely grow into that once they started contacting me. But I've been open-minded and had psychic gifts since I was young, and I actually turned them off for a very long time, just because it was hard to deal in the world with some of those gifts as a child. And so it wasn't until I was in my 30s, really, that most of this really started to come back to me. Memories of things from when I was young, as well as my intuition was just really growing. I guess what most people would refer to as becoming psychic, but, I could easily predict things, and so I started kind of looking into that a little bit more and fine-tuning that. And
so it's
I was aware that
what it sounds like, it seems like when you become older, when you have this gift, this psychic gift, it's almost like an interstellar puberty kind of stage where it strengthens as you get older.
It does, and it really depends on the individual soul and, your karma and what you kind of set up for yourself, because it's not like that with everybody. A lot of people advance and evolve because they want to. They're seeking that out, but a lot of people will, like I said, when I was younger, what I subconsciously chose to do was to kind of shut it off. And a lot of people will do that too, just because of whatever kind of pain or fear that it might bring them. So they intentionally shut down their gifts but really they're there all along. So it does take some practice to go that deep and to connect. And just off topic here real quick, I'll just say that anybody that's really interested in developing their psychic gifts more, I certainly recommend spending time in nature, just being quiet and meditating, and that's a great way to start. But of course, there's there's many different practices.
No, that's definitely not off topic at all. I mean, that's nature.
Right.
Yeah, nature. That is the energy. That's what feeds us all. And we've got quite a while here to learn even more about this, because I want to get into, your psychic abilities more in depth, as well as just the communication, how it's done, these 3 different types of telepathy. Just amazing topic here. And we do have a question here for you real quick from chat. Bonnie is asking, why are they so difficult to see and research?
Well, there's lots of different reasons for that, but, they cloak themselves. They don't want to be seen, by most humans, or they don't want to associate with people that are out to exploit them or to, hunt them in some kind of way, or depending on what their intentions are. So many people that are researching them or hunting them or something, they're just looking to boost their own ego, or they're looking to be the first to discover this or that, or they want fame and fortune or something like that, and those aren't the right intentions to have. So, as far as having a good chance of seeing them or interacting with them. So, because they're so psychic and they can feel and read people's energy, they're looking for people that have a loving heart and intentions of, doing well for the earth and of helping and healing others, So if you're looking to connect with the Sasquatch because you want a personal relationship and you want their assistance in helping you to evolve your own consciousness, or to teach you, techniques of how you can just be more peaceful within your own life, then that's the way to approach them, and that's when you're going to usually have more experiences.
And
but
like
now,
Kewaunee
of course, some people have physical sightings too, and they do that a lot of times to wake people up. Just a little glimpse of that can change somebody's whole life. And so that's kind of the intent when they do let themselves be seen and be known, is, they want to get into that person's consciousness, so that they can seek the truth for themselves.
And just like Kewaunee was saying earlier about him being chosen, maybe they know that this individual, this particular human, is one of a gentle nature, one that respects the earth, and they choose them. So it's just it's baffling how you have this elusive creature. You have all of these makeshift, and I use the term researcher very, very loosely when it comes to them going out there. You're right. They're going out there for the wrong reasons. They are hunting these like you would hunt a beast, and they're trying to haul them in. And you hear these ex researchers that they're just dropping out of it because the field is becoming so overrun with them. Now,
right.
What you guys are doing is communicating with them. They're telling you all of this. They're relaying all these different messages to you, yet people are still out there doing this. So that's why I definitely want you guys to have this forum tonight to say anything you would like of what they're trying to tell our race, and to set us straight, because obviously something's going wrong. If they're having to hide, if they're having to cross over into these different dimensions constantly, there's a huge problem that needs to be fixed, because just like Kewaunee said earlier as well, we're the animals here.
Exactly.
Yes, the mainstream Sasquatch researchers are, many of them are well educated, but they're also extremely naive. Mm-hmm. After my material has been out there for 39 years on radio, over 500 radio shows, and conferences, over 100 conferences, and so forth, and my books are out, articles that I publish, and they still don't get it. And I reach a point where I don't care. I wanted to share with these researchers that reality, but they are so childlike in one area, and that they think this is all fantasy stuff.
Right.
And they don't realize that science is discovering things all the time, and this is something I discovered that mainstream science is ignoring and making believe it's not real. And what they want recognition so bad that they want a body, they want evidence. And I understand that. I'm a social scientist, but I'm not. My thoughts have never been killing anything. So they're attracted to me, and each time these people go out, they're pushing them away because they want photographs or a body and all this, and that's exploitation, and the Sasquatch won't allow it. They told me this.
And that makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, they're obviously of a higher intelligence than what we are. We are definitely immature when it comes to that type of research. There's a fine line, and most don't even. They completely ignore it. They pardon my language. They bastardize the whole field of research with this because they want that trophy. They want this notoriety. They think that they're going to get some huge, gigantic prize for discovering a creature or dragging it in, killing it. I mean, you hear this talk out there, and it is ridiculous. So that's why I'm glad both of you are here to set this straight.
Well, it's been 60 years, more than 60 years, that researchers and scientists have started really seriously looking for Sasquatch. But you would think after over 60 years, they're using the scientific method, which I always use, but I took it as far as it'll go, but I continue to follow the evidence objectively, and I discovered a psychic Sasquatch with a UFO connection.
And that's what we're going to get into. We're going to get into more of that. We have to skip off to a break here. We've got to skip off to a break real quick, Kewaunee. We're going to come right back and pick up where we left off. You guys stay tuned. More Fate Radio coming up next. Let'sTalkRadio.net or FateMagRadio.com. We'll be right back.
If you call other talk stations, all you get is,
"Hello, we're sorry, but no one is available to answer your call at this time."
But at Let's Talk Radio, we're here for the best talk, news, and information 24 hours a day. Hear it here first or find out about the alien invasion tomorrow from someone else. Depend on us. Let'sTalkRadio.net. Shopping, dining, beautiful lakes and rivers, and a monster? Welcome to Braxton County, West Virginia. Centrally located, Braxton County, West Virginia is the ideal place to visit. Natural beauty and recreation abound with 2 beautiful lakes for easy kayaking and canoeing, and many hiking trails. Did we mention the Flatwoods Monster? That's right. Visit Braxton County, West Virginia's Flatwoods Monster Museum and not only learn about the Flatwoods Monster, but walk in the same footsteps as the people who witnessed it. Nearly all of our attractions can be found within a few miles of Interstate 79. Visit us online at braxtonwv.org. That's braxtonwv.org. Braxton County, West Virginia. Center yourself here. Haunted, a psychic story by author and radio host Ariel Grace. This is not your average book of hauntings. Haunted, a psychic story is written from a psychic perspective and contains true stories and some handy tips. Written in 3 parts, Haunted, a Psychic Story contains chilling adventures, advice from the archangels, and helpful tips used by Ariel Grace to clear haunted homes around the globe. Haunted, a Psychic Story is available on Amazon, or you can download straight to your Kindle. Haunted, a Psychic Story by Ariel Grace. Get your copy today.
Your Monday nights just got better. Tune in to ParatalkRadio.com. We are your paranormal talk. On the air, on the web, and in the field. We have guests from all over the paranormal world. We discuss ghosts, hauntings, Bigfoot, UFOs, and more. Check us out on Facebook Live on Monday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern at facebook.com/Paratalk Radio. Remember, wherever there is darkness, there is always the light. ParatalkRadio.com.
LetsTalkRadio.net. 23 minutes past the hour. Those of you just joining us, of course, you're listening to Fate Radio. I'm your host, Todd Bates, and tonight we're discussing the Sasquatch people, communication with them as well, with our special guest for the next 2 hours. It is a 2-hour special here. We've got Kewaunee and Kelly Lapseritis here with us, and they were talking earlier before the break about the communication levels, the 3 different types of telepathy that are used, the communication levels between them and Sasquatch people. And we were getting into some discussion about how we're more the animal than they are. They're far more intelligent. There's so many things that we've already discussed, and those of you that have missed it, don't worry. We've got you covered there. You can listen to the past show, and that's going to be uploaded about 30 minutes after the live broadcast here this evening, and you can find that at letstalkradio.net or FateMagRadio.com, either one of those locations. iHeart, iTunes, of course, subscribe, all free of charge. You can do that right there through either one of those websites. Welcome back to the show, guys, and kind of got a little heated in there going over some of the way the different researchers are out there, the politics behind it, I guess. The politics behind is awful.
Say that in making comparisons that you would think after 60 years they would figure out that what's really going on, that they're interdimensional and that they have psychic ability that could read your mind at a distance. And all of that stuff has been reported for years now, unbelievably, from all people coming out. And even when somebody says, I saw Sasquatch, and they contact one of these organizations or some of the researchers. And when the researchers go out and the person says, yeah, I saw the Sasquatch, but it was strange that when I got closer, he looked at me and he started talking to me telepathically. And I've been told this many times. So what do these people do? They take down all the information, but when they get home, they throw it away. Now, why? Because they said that's unscientific, that kind of information. Now, wait a minute. That's subjective data collecting. That has no place in science at all, what they're doing, and they're claiming they're scientists. So this is baloney. This is really a con game. It's horrible that they do that, but instead of, I objectively told the truth, and I had been attacked for it over and over again all these years, and that's their loss.
You're being ridiculed.
I win, they lose, because they're not even approaching me and discussing it with me. They just, it has to do with psychic stuff. Well, guess what? If they don't like the word psychic, they should use the real word, which is quantum physics, because it's synonymous. It's one and the same.
Very good. Great point.
This research is about anthropology and quantum physics. Mm-hmm. That's how, based on Sasquatch behavior, what's the reality. But since these people are zoologists, anthropologists, and just plain hunters, that just had this interest, they don't get it. I suggest they join the Boy Scouts and do something more productive.
No, you're right. You're right. It does. It draws a lot of the hunters, the breeds that are out there like that. It's sad. And it's absolutely ridiculous because, like you said, it is their loss. If this is going on, you're being ridiculed for their own denial. And that's what's sad. They need to open up to this, open up to all aspects of it. I think all of us listening, and present here right now, know that people like the military have used the psychic gifts in the past for experiments, and they try to weaponize anything they possibly can. They've worked with this. They've dabbled in that before, and I think that's why they're they're probably afraid. It's probably a fear. They know it's legitimate. And
well, in addition to that, Tom, just the fear of that, but of their peers that will criticize them for having anything to do with this. But this is real. I'm 100% right. They're 100% wrong. And that's not ego speaking. It's just when you make that comparison. I mean, right now, I have documented 418 people who have had telepathic communication with the psychic Sasquatch. 3 of them were physicians. 1 was an attorney. 3 were college professors, and 2 were scientists, and then people from all walks of life. William James said it only takes 1 white crow to prove that all crows are not black. Well, analogously speaking, I have 418 white crows.
Yes,
How many more white crows? How many more white crows do I need to get people's attention that this is a real phenomenon? And these other people are not researchers. They were shocked, and they needed somebody to talk to, an outlet to release this, because in some cases, their own spouses wouldn't talk about it. It was too spooky for them.
Oh my goodness! And on that note, we've got we've got some chatter going on here in the chat room. Those of you just joining us, definitely jump in the live chat room. They're having a great discussion in there about the energy, and we're going to get into that here in a second. You can log in right there at letstalkradio.net or, of course, fatemagradio.com, either one of those, Twitter, Facebook. Just go ahead and get into chat. Post them in all capital letters, and they'll get those questions over here to us. We'll get them on. But what Terry is asking in the chat room, so they feel our intentions, she's asking, by telepathy or energy. Then she has a follow-up to that for either one of you two to answer. Do they want... or what do they want from us, if anything?
Yes, well, they want us to evolve our consciousness. Basically, that's what it boils down to. They are the original caretakers of the planet Earth, and humans have the same duty, and we're not doing a very good job of it. So that is what they really want from us, is for us to take care of the planet and respect all living things, live peacefully with one another instead of the state that the world is in right now. And, so that's a lot easier said than done. One person can't change the whole world, but what we can do is change ourselves so that our reality and our world around us will change when we do so.
Make it contagious.
And so that's like what's that?
Make it contagious. Absolutely. Make it go viral like that.
Exactly. So, they want us to understand our interdimensional, our own multidimensional nature that we have, so that we can understand, all of the stuff that we've forgotten, basically. We're no longer in touch with the reality of the planet and nature and of our own nature, where we come from, and, all of the beings and realms that exist around us. So in the Sasquatch Message to Humanity book, they go into great detail to explain the different dimensions and to explain how things work on a quantum scale, so that we can understand that we're not limited to time and space like we think we are. It's a lot to take in and a lot to understand. It's constantly working to understand this kind of information. But ultimately, what they want us to do in understanding that is to be more peaceful and to be the people that we came here to be, to, honor and respect one another.
Which definitely is...
Including... Phase 2, right.
Yeah, and just as Kewaunee was saying earlier about quantum physics, Terry, this is a great comment in there. In defense of that, what she's stating is, here we talk about physics again, and I'm glad to hear this. I believe so strongly in physics of all of what we experience. I truly believe that in Let's see here. I truly believe that in the not too distant future, physics research may explain a great many things. And you don't, that's the thing is that they don't seem to be grasping it. They're not thinking outside of the box. They're so narrow-minded.
Independent researchers and scientists that really have figured out so much of it. I mean, look at Tesla, and we're not listening to him. We're not taking his advice. We're not using free energy and, all of these different things that have already been discovered. But that's all a part of it, too, because there's, the dark side and the light side of everything. And so the dark forces, the cabal, the ones that, want to keep us in the shadows and not remembering who we are. And, they basically have an agenda of control over the whole human species and of the earth. So it's easy to see when you think in those terms of, why so many of these different technologies, these advanced technologies haven't taken off, and that's because they won't allow it. We have the information, it's just the powers that be are not allowing it to happen. So that's another thing that the Sasquatch are explaining, and they go into this deep history so that we can have an understanding of human evolution and, Earth evolution, because it's not just humans, it's all Earth. So everything that's happening to Earth is happening to us and all of the races that are here. So, now we're going through this process of what a lot of people call ascension. Even people that aren't very consciously aware can see that there are big shifts and changes and lots of different energy happening throughout the planet these days. The media reports on a lot of different negative things, and that's part of it. And but there's also a lot of positive things happening as well.
And, you have to have that balance. And it seems with this, dimensionally speaking, I want to get back into that as well, because what I'm curious, and the listeners are as well, is how they travel. How many dimensions do you think they have access to, and have they told you how they go from one place to another? Do they just appear and reappear? Is there a certain protocol that they have to abide by? Have they told you anything like this?
I don't know. I don't know all those details because they've never shared them with me, but I've seen them dematerialize 3 times in front of me, and they told me they have access to 8 different dimensions. And astral projection is one of them, because though I've seen them 9 times in the physical, I've seen them several hundred times where I could see through them as living apparitions, and at times simply a strong, giant body there, the outline of the body and the energy hitting me, because they have very, very strong, very high vibrations. So, yes, they come and go very easily, and they only show themselves when they want to for people. Once in a while, a person catches one off guard, in the forest someplace, and if it's busy gathering food and that kind of thing. But overall, they are on the defensive because of so many hunters out there and people wanting to shoot them, and all the technology that we have now. They're aware of every bit of that. They're way ahead of us. They're 100 times more evolved than we are. So people, even in Russia, my colleagues in Russia who told me, they said, gee, we were puzzled. We get a map and lay it out and decide where the team, the whole group of people, of scientists, are going to go out to this area because they see these Sasquatch types, which they call almist, which are somewhat Neanderthal-looking in Russia. But the day before they leave, the farmers are seeing them everywhere, but the day before the researchers leave, they all disappeared. No one can find them. They're not anywhere, as if they didn't even exist. So when the researchers are there spending 2-3 weeks doing the research in that region of wilderness where there's some farms. They never see one evidence of anything. As soon as they go back to Moscow, they come back out again, and farmers see them at the edge of the field and walking through the woods. So they know at a distance, because if you're thinking of them and you're looking at a spot on a map, you are unwittingly projecting your thoughts to them, because you're thinking of them and thinking about where to go, and so you're forewarning them. These researchers don't understand any of this stuff. They won't listen, and I don't care anymore. I wanted to share as a responsible scientist and researcher, I wanted them to know what's going on and to stop the monster hunting. That's child stuff.
It is.
That's real. That's very perverse.
What you just said makes complete sense. If you think about it, and you've been researching, my goodness, 60 years. And no breakthroughs. No one's reeled one in yet, so to speak, quote unquote. The same thing in other facets as well. No one's captured an alien. No one's captured a ghost in a jar. Because of what you just said. They are always one step ahead of us. And something that's simple. Here, Occam's razor here, okay? Something that's simple. And all we're doing is complicating it more and more and more. We're going out there, we're pushing them farther away from what I'm understanding now from you. We're pushing them farther away because we are...
Yes, that's why they're going to so many other people. They told me in 2000, and then they told me again, I think it was in 2006, that they're coming out more and more as the real proof to see them everywhere, and they're letting... people take a few pictures of them at a distance deliberately. Some people think, I got it made. I snuck up on it. No, they let them take the picture because they want more and more information out that they're real beings. And now if you are around, these newscasts all over the country, they're in almost every state, every once in a while, someone says they saw Sasquatch, and they kind of joke about it, but of course it's no joke. But this is a part of their plan, the Sasquatchy Nation plan to reconnect with only the people who, with high vibrations, that are non-aggressive, non-violent, that are not negative, that are not fearful, that walk in unconditional love and trust, and that's why they contacted us, and they don't want anything to do with these other researchers. They're fighting amongst themselves. Never mind fighting the Sasquatch.
No, you raise that's a brilliant point. A brilliant point. That's true, and they know that, so they're going to let us sit there and have these ridiculous arguments and they're just going to sit there and they know. And this is, the way you're saying it, it's making it so simple. And I've been complicating it all these years. So you just simplified a lot of things for me. So I appreciate that. Terry she's saying here again, is what she says. You say gathering food. So they are truly physical beings, not just a projection or representation of another type of energy. They must eat food and drink water, etc. These are things that, are going on in the chat room. They are just loving this, and it makes sense. And Bonnie has a question for you. Are their vibrations higher or lower in order for them to go from one dimension to another? Have they informed you of how the vibrations work?
Yes. Well, they're able to change their vibrations. So, in general, yes, they do have higher vibrations than us because planet Earth and the human consciousness is at a lower density. So the Sasquatch are not, and that's why they're able to travel between dimensions. So they're able to regulate and change their vibrations and the state that they're in. They don't have to only travel through portals to go from one place to another, but they can change their vibration and their consciousness so that they can bilocate, be in more location more than one location at a time. Okay. And then they can also cloak themselves so that they are still physically there in our dimension. Like they could be standing in front of you and you could walk right into them and it would be like walking into a brick wall, or you could see their footprints, or you could see their scat that they left behind. But they're able to change their vibration so that we can't see them from the vibration that we're at. But that's also why some people that are more in tune with that, that have a higher sensitivity, that's why some people are able to sense them easier than others.
Yeah, and as far as this interdimensional stuff, I mean, it's analogously speaking, it's like a fan. You can walk up to a fan that's sitting right in front of you on your desk, and it's not turned on yet, and you can see all the physicalness of the blade. But as soon as you turn the fan on, the vibrations get higher and higher and higher, and they spin. Pretty soon it disappears right in front of you. You can't see the blade anymore. Analogously speaking, it's something similar to that, except they can do it in their minds because they're that evolved.
That is phenomenal. And these are the things that we do not think about. Wow. It's complicated yet so simple. And the way you guys explain it, you're doing a fantastic job, because I am very thick-headed, okay? And you guys are definitely helping me better understand this, and I know the listeners, because I'm watching them become educated right before my eyes as well. So thank you for that. And we're going to skip off to a short break. Don't worry, we're going to come back. We're going to pick right up where we left off here. This is an amazing discussion here. Those of you just joining us, chat room is open right there at letstalkradio.net or fatemagradio.com, either one of those locations there. Post your questions in there, put them in all capital letters, and we'll open up the call-in lines as well. You can find those numbers right there in chat or on the main pages of either one of those websites. More Fate Radio when we come back. Stay tuned.
We interrupt our scheduled programming to bring you the following conspiracy theory. Humpty Dumpty was pushed. WGOG-DB Clearwater. Let's talk. Haunted, a psychic story by author and radio host Ariel Grace. This is not your average book of hauntings. Haunted, a psychic story is written from a psychic perspective and contains true stories and some handy tips. Written in 3 parts, Haunted, a Psychic Story contains chilling adventures, advice from the archangels, and helpful tips used by Ariel Grace to clear haunted homes around the globe. Haunted, a Psychic Story is available on Amazon, or you can download straight to your Kindle. Haunted, a Psychic Story by Ariel Grace. Get your copy today.
Grow your business. At Signorama, we offer customized solutions for signs, branding, marketing, and advertising. We have a full range of custom sign and graphic services to meet your needs, build your brand, and create your image. Look around and you'll see how our specialists help businesses enhance their visibility and get noticed. Let us work with you to understand your unique marketing goals and help you reach them. Signorama, the way to grow your business. Meet with an expert at your local Signorama or visit us online anytime.
46 minutes past the hour, Fate Radio Live. Todd Bates here hosting. We're, of course, having a 2-hour special here. Amazing interview here. We have got Kewaunee and Kelly Lapseritis joining us. We're discussing the Sasquatch people. We're discussing communicating with them, all kinds of amazing things. And we've got everything archived for you. I know a lot of you have already asked me, how much did I miss? Well, you have missed a lot, but it's okay. You're going to be able to hear that a little while after the live broadcast. We've got questions galore coming into chat. And those of you that are asking the questions through the chat room there at letstalkradio.net or fatemagradio.com receive a free issue of Fate Magazine, the latest issue, number 732. All you have to do is email me your mailing address, your snail mail address, to Todd Bates at fatemag.com. That's Todd Bates at fatemag.com. you get the issue. It's that simple. Just send your mailing address there, not your email address. I mean, if you send that, I'll ask for your mailing address, but you can send me your mailing address and we'll get you the issue, those of you that ask the questions. So thank you for participating, because this is a very, very, very interesting topic, very controversial as well. Now, my goodness, before the break, we were getting into the communication aspects, the dimensional travel. There's so many different things, astral projection, seeing them differently that way. We've got other questions coming into there, just flying in here for you guys. Michael Lampton is asking, I'm in Victoria, British Columbia on Vancouver Island. Have you heard of many people having these profound telepathic experiences here?
I know of one case. However, they're talking to a lot of people that are not coming out and talking to their neighbors or friends about it. So a few people, or I must say more than a few, a lot of people had discovered my work and said, I thought I was the only one. I didn't know that you did all this, because they held it in for years. There was nobody to talk to put it in perspective. And, of course, if they talk to people that are not in the know or closed-minded, they're going to be made fun of, or they're talking to the devil, or whatever people want to make up, that.
Mm-hmm. And did you say Michael's in Australia?
British Columbia.
Oh, British Columbia.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No.
Yeah. Okay, well, yeah, well, there's lots of them in Australia, too. They refer to them over there as like the Yowie or the Doolaga. But in British Columbia, there are just throughout all of Canada, really, but especially within British Columbia, there's one of the highest populations of Sasquatch anywhere. They say it's between British Columbia and Washington and kind of part of Idaho. This area that we're in right now is the largest population of them. And that's for several different reasons, but mainly because this is some of the most pristine, untouched areas of the United States, where it's still very woodsy, and geographically it's safe. For expected changes that the Sasquatch sees the earth going through, as well as very sacred land. There was. This was an area where they really interacted with some of the ancient Native American tribes. Some of the humans, before we really lost touch of who we were, there were some, Native peoples that still really interacted with them regularly, and a lot of that occurred around this region, too.
And that is when they had the different type of respect for them, which is probably where they were able to encounter more of them. They came here more freely. They weren't, oh my goodness. What we've done to ourselves is sickening, because here we are wasting all this time and energy, and the answer is basically right in front of us. We just refuse to accept it. That's,
well,
go ahead.
Yeah. The Sasquatch say that the white man, when he came, was the most destructive of anything they've ever seen. And just let's look at it this way. The Sasquatch people have watched the Pilgrims come over, and how this attitude that they're so superior to us, when half of the colony died the first year. They had to depend on the Native American people, but they ended up being destructive, looking down on the First Nations people as if they were subhuman. They did the same to Afro-American people. They did the same to the Chinese when they came over to work on the railways. Mm-hmm. So are we going to repeat this with the Sasquatch, where it looks like they are treating them, like subhumans, when, in a sense,
they're of higher intelligence.
The researchers are acting subhuman in the way that they're approaching this problem.
I agree.
And it has to be done out of friendship, not out of aggression.
I agree. And on this show, I'm not supposed to agree or disagree, but you know what? I agree. Because That makes complete sense. That makes complete sense because there's oh my goodness, it's such a rat race, and it's a destructive mess. It's just awful. But Terry's commenting here. This is another great comment here. Could I consider them as elders of our universe, so to speak, trying to pass the torch, not just to us, but to other beings we're not being conscious of? See, these are raising some really good comments and questions. It's our filters are being lifted here, and that's a great.
Yes, exactly, and they can certainly be called the elders. That's actually how they're mainly referred to in the Sasquatch Message to Humanity books, and that's coming from a Sasquatch elder named Kewaunee himself. He calls them our elder brothers because cosmically they are, genetically they are. We're more than 99% Sasquatch ourselves, so we could breed with them, everything. But the way that they view us, they call us little brother and little sister. So they're, they are our elders. They're like our big brothers that are kind of holding our hand and trying to guide us and teach us on, what we need to do. It's our turn to take over. And so now that so many humans are willing to listen, now that they've been able to connect with people that are open-minded and accept this and don't, approach the Sasquatch with fear or anything like that, now they're able to really pass that wisdom on to us. And they do refer to themselves as our elders, an elder race.
And one of the reasons is because they said that a friendly race of ETs, bioengineered, that's the word they use, bioengineered them, and then later we were bioengineered as well. And some of it was taken from them and some of it from ETs to produce us. So this is what they told us, and all this information in great detail of how they explain their own history and our history are in the books of the Sasquatch Message to Humanity, books 1 and 2, and books 3 and 4 will be out of the same title, will be out later this year.
And those links, I want to get this out real quick. Those links are in the chat room, folks, for both those books. Those links, the information is right there in the chat room, letstalkradio.net. Yeah. You can find them right in there as well.
They can go to www.psychicsasquatch.com and also sasquatchpeople.com if they want to order any books.
That's very good, very good. And we've got another question in here. It refers back to the food and water, it looks like. It was said they need water and food. Is there a reason that they need to be in this dimension to get what they need? That's a good question.
They said that they have gardens on the other side in one of their worlds, and that they do come here to exploit. And some of them like living here and stay here most of the time. So it varies. I mean, this is hard for us to grasp, and even myself, I have to stop and think here. The traveling back and forth and doing all kinds of different things.
Mm-hmm.
When they're in a lower density and a lower dimension, then they do need food and water just like we do. But when they raise their vibration to where they are no longer, they don't need that on Earth. So, like I explained before, it is complicated, but when they're able to cloak themselves, they're still in this dimension and they still have the physical needs that have to be met here on Earth.
They need those needs. Yeah, they have the same types of needs.
Some of them, exactly. And they're all different, levels of consciousness within the Sasquatch people, too. Like, take Elder Kewaunee, for instance, who channeled these messages to Sunbow for these books. He's very advanced, very evolved, one of the eldest elders. So he has more abilities and more wisdom than some of the other ones do. And the Sasquatch do have to be taught their gifts. They're not just automatically born with them. I mean, some of them that they're already have a more advanced consciousness than humans do. but they have to be taught how to cloak and how to raise their vibration and things like that.
And that's something where I'd like to, of course, we have just a couple minutes here for the news, but what I want to ask you beforehand is, this may be, a common sense question, but I'm curious. Do they have the same relationships we do? Are they monogamous? Families? Are they loyal? Things of that nature. Do they have the same type of culture that we do?
Well, the culture is different, but they're very loving, very protective, very family oriented, and I just want to comment as far as interdimensionalism real quick. One could look at it that we are physical dense. Humans are physical dense, where the Sasquatch are physical etheric. That would be another way to look at it.
That's a great way of putting it.
But they do teach their children right away to stay away from us, even though some of the young have come around me and I believe Kelly, because they know that we're not, going to try to grab them or do anything negative. They trust us. So that's, again, we work with them and for them, and that sounds kind of odd, but our lives are very much like a science fiction movie. And the only difference is it's all for real. And, I was raised Roman Catholic, though I'm not involved in any of that anymore. But I used to joke, I'd say, the nuns in parochial school never told me all these things psychic things are going to happen to me, people coming and going and seeing spaceships and stuff. And even one time, the Sasquatch were coming to me every day when I was living in Oregon back in the 80s. And I decided to go into the wilderness to visit a friend who had a 1,000-acre ranch. And when I got to the end of my driveway to leave, and a ET said to me, "Dear friend, we will be following you on your trip today." And I said, "Well, thank you." And I thought, well, I know they've done it before because they've talked to me on airplanes and stuff. So, I was surprised they said that, but I said, well, fine, Well, on the way there, I had to go through several miles.
Hold that thought 1 second. We have got to skip off to a break. We've got to skip off to the news. Not a problem. Not a problem at all. You guys hang tight. More when we come back. Bait Radio Live.
While the other stations are run from high rises in the city, we're programmed from a little bungalow on Windtree Drive.
Determining the cause. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. An update from the National Transportation Safety Board on the bridge collapse in South Florida.
It's very early in the investigation, so we don't have a lot of factual information to report.
Chairman Robert Sumwalt, who says his team will determine why the span fell onto the busy highway below.
Part of our investigation will be to look at the overall emergency response. That is typical for any NTSB investigation. We look at the emergency response.
The bridge connecting Florida International University and the town of Sweetwater came down yesterday afternoon. It had just been installed Saturday, but wasn't expected to be in use for several months. 6 people confirmed dead, 10 hurt. Crews still working on recovery efforts. Attorney General Jeff Sessions considering whether to fire a former high-ranking FBI agent over his actions while in the top job.
The FBI office that handles employee discipline has recommended terminating Andrew McCabe, the former deputy FBI director, over accusations he authorized disclosing sensitive information to a reporter and then lied about it to the Justice Department's Inspector General. If he is fired before his retirement begins on Sunday, McCabe could lose significant retirement benefits, including a multi-million-dollar pension. Because of McCabe's seniority, the decision is Attorney General Jeff Sessions to make. President Trump has repeatedly criticized McCabe on Twitter.
Fox's John Decker at the White House. A federal appeals court has rolled back rules intended to deter telemarketing robocalls, saying they were too broad. A dog that United Airlines mistakenly flew to Japan is back with its family in Kansas. The 10-year-old German Shepherd named Ergo arrived at a Wichita airport last night after a flight on a private plane. Fox News, fair and balanced. A California couple wins $2.5 million in a civil suit over a kidnapping case police thought was fake.
Denise Huskins disappeared from her home in Northern California back in 2015, and she was found outside of her family's house hundreds of miles away in Southern California days later. She and her boyfriend told police a masked man drugged them, bound them, and then took Denise. But Vallejo police said it all sounded like a hoax. Turns out a disbarred attorney named Matthew Mueller was the one who'd abducted her. He was arrested for attempted robbery at a home in San Francisco later on. They found evidence after his arrest linking him to Huskins' kidnapping. A federal judge ruled Huskins' lawsuit against the city could move forward, and in his ruling, he said the police conduct could be seen as extreme and outrageous. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
Investigators say a boulder that struck a vehicle near Los Angeles earlier this week, killing a passenger, was intentionally dropped.
The basketball-sized boulder was dropped off an overpass on the 134 freeway in Pasadena Tuesday night, smashing through Guadalupe Lopez's windshield, killing her 23-year-old husband, Christopher, who was riding in the passenger seat.
About 2 weeks ago, we found out I was pregnant out of nowhere. Now he's gone.
An emotional appeal for witnesses to come forward in the case. The California Highway Patrol says the boulder came from the Orange Grove overpass and that all Caltrans cameras in the area do not record. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
A court in Romania has rejected a man's claim that he's alive after he was officially declared as deceased. Reports say the 63-year-old went to Turkey for work in 1992 and lost contact with his family. Hearing no news about her husband, his wife got a death certificate for him in 2016. He was deported to Romania this year, and when he returned, he made the discovery. Lisa Lacera, Fox News Radio.
Stations in the world. We're one of them. WGOG Digital Broadcasting. Let's talk.
Top of the hour, Fate Radio Live. I'm your host, Todd Bates. Those of you just joining us, coming in from your night out, welcome, welcome. It's great to have you. Join us in chat right there at letstalkradio.net or fatemagradio.com. And I know you guys are really, really enjoying tonight's guest. And, of course, that's Kelly and Kewaunee Lapseritis. They're joining us. We're discussing Sasquatch people. We're discussing communication. We're discussing how animalistic we are compared to them. It's actually the other way around, and it's changing a lot of views out there. That's exactly what I'm seeing with the comments coming in, the actual text questions that are coming in, and that's one thing that I want to do. If you guys want to, you're more than welcome. The phone lines are open, and you can give us a call. It's real simple. Real simple. Those numbers are posted on the main page of either one of the websites, or you just call 727-266-5962, or you can text your question. If you don't want to call, you want to send a text. A lot of people do that with your smartphones out there. You can text your questions to 727-417-9238, and those numbers are posted on the main pages, of course, and in chat. Now, my goodness! Before we went, you were telling us about another experience, Kewaunee, and go ahead and continue.
Yes, with ETs, which again, the Sasquatch are part of the UFO phenomena, other than extraterrestrial. So, at any rate, so from time to time, the ETs talk to me, have helped me, and so on, and they have with Kelly. In this particular time, they told me they were going to follow me, and they were above me in a spaceship, and I just said, fine, thank you, and there was nothing else to say. So I headed on out, and when I got into the wilderness, I had to go down through this valley that started out real high cliffs, and it was like very snaky. You had to drive 15, 20 miles an hour, real slow, and there were no guardrails at all. So I know this road. I've been down it probably 100 times or more during that time period. And so I'm a slow driver. I'm not a fast driver. I had a Toyota station wagon, and when I was snaking around close to the cliffs, I noticed that they had fixed the road. That is, it was a dirt road, but in the spring, the water comes down and washes out big, huge craters in this single-lane road, and they filled them in. But this year, they filled them in these round, smooth stones that were almost like rollers. And they put them in these holes, and I noticed that and didn't pay any attention. I was traveling 15 miles an hour, and many people would travel maybe 20 or 25 on that road, but they're taking chances. So all of a sudden I realized that I'm going faster than I should because I was coming around literally a hairpin turn, and of course there was a 60-foot cliff, a drop-off right there, and no railing. And I was pumping the brake, but I was going faster because I was at an angle going downhill on these rollers with this small car, and all of a sudden I was going 32 miles an hour.
Yikes.
And I couldn't stop. The more I braked, the faster I went over the rollers. So I had my window down, and I just had my arm on the window, and all I said to myself was, I guess this is it. Nothing I could do. And I went right off the cliff, but hovered in midair. And all of a sudden, I looked out the window, and I could see straight down, and slowly the car turned around in midair and came down onto the road again. And when it did, it came down kind of hard. And when it did, it was pointing towards the rocks in the cliff. And I turned the wheel just in time, but I scraped the edge of my fender and then stopped and said, what the heck just happened? And I said, wait a minute, the ETs, they just saved my life. And so they did. And that really happened. And years ago, back in the 70s, I think it was, I picked up a UFO magazine, and someone said about this, how their car floated and this and that. And I thought, that's nonsense. How could they do that? And I don't say those things anymore, because once you experience it, your life changes. You're not the same person. You don't see the universe and the people around you the same way at all.
Yeah, you can't unbelieve it once
I can't unlearn how to swim, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And I can sit here and say that I shook the hand of Santa Claus, prove that I didn't. That kind of thing. The same thing. That is exactly right. You had that experience, and a lot of us have had similar experiences. I mean, I've experienced things like that as well, and I can't unsee them or unbelieve them. So it's life-changing. You're absolutely correct. Absolutely. And I knew this question was going to come in sooner or later. This is a text question coming in from the text line. They're wanting to know about the Patterson film and if that was one of the real Sasquatch people.
Yes, I asked them back in 1985 in a group of forest people that I was interacting with quite frequently. And I asked one of the first questions I asked, and they said, yeah, that was one of our people that was out, and this is absolutely true. Now, I don't know why people hadn't figured it out even before then, because you can see the muscles in the legs where they belong. And this is in October 20th, 1967. So they didn't have anything like that at all. Didn't know the movie industry, or no one had anything that could show the muscles. You put on a monkey suit and it's just loose on you, even if it fit tight.
Right.
You can never see any muscles through because it's not a real creature. But this is. And yes, they said it was. And it's interesting. A lot of people have gone up there thinking that's where they are at, when when they're everywhere. They're everywhere. One was just reported a few days ago, 1 block away from where we live. Why? Well, they came through the portal that's right there. You know, they told us, the ETs told us where they built it, and they come in and out there to have access to us while we do writing and to watch over us. And one night, one was wandering around, and somebody looked out the window and saw it standing right there in the street. That was just, I think, 3-4 days ago, right here in eastern Washington.
Let's touch on this for a second. As far as, you know, sightings, there has been a tremendous amount of sightings, and I'm sure they're a society of their own. They have different cultures. Let's get into what they're called in other areas. Of, you know, like I know here in Florida, I think they nickname them the skunk ape or what have you, and they're supposedly smaller. That they're a smaller breed, or what's the differences throughout the world? I mean, as far as them having different races and sizes and so forth, what are some of the differences in different names that they're called throughout the world?
Well, of course, first one that's so popular is the Yeti, and they use that in China. It's the Yeren. If you say it too fast, it comes out urine. But it's a Y-E-R-E-N, and of course Australia, it's the Yowies. And incidentally, you know, we do put on a conference every year, and last year 7 Australians came to our conference, and almost all of them have had and still do have ongoing telepathic communication with the Yowie people, because there are another race of these beings that are involved with the friendly ETs. So it's anyway. Brazil has them, and Indonesia, and there's different places, Japan, and so on. There's all some of these islands in the South Pacific have were created out of volcanism, and the volcanoes, some of them have all these lava tubes and stuff, and there's underground cities there with ETs and these Sasquatch type beings that some of them have been reported to be 15 to 20 feet tall, and this is not an exaggeration. Not at all. I thought it was, but it's not. Years ago, I thought it was.
Well, after listening to you and Kelly tonight, I've definitely changed my tune as well. So kudos to that. And what about, have any of them that you two are aware of, have they communicated? Are any of them adapted to the water at all? Since it's so vast, there's so much water, it's a great hiding place. Do you know if any of them have adapted into sea creatures?
Yeah, I know of 2 cases. First of all, they love water and they can swim, and they have tremendous lungs to hold their breath and so on. And so they do like to be around water. But I know of 2 cases, one in Wisconsin back around 1980, where a man and his wife were out snowshoeing out back at their place, and there was a pond out there. And the pond froze, but there was one section where it was bubbly, and therefore there was a little opening. And they saw Sasquatch tracks. I mean, these were 20 inches long. And they followed them right to the hole, and it dove into the hole, but never came out. What did it mean? Do you think it died down there? No. Hold on. I'm going to tell you something else before I tell you the answer to that. Mm-hmm. Then in Alaska, I believe it was 5 years ago, a bush pilot had someone with him, and they were crossing over a frozen lake, and in the middle of the lake was a Sasquatch and a young Sasquatch, meaning around between 5 and 6 feet tall, and then the other was 9 to 10 feet. And the planes circled around and came in on it, and they started running. And it was in an area where there wasn't much cover. And they ran and ran, and they ran to a hole in the ice that was broken up, and they both dove in. And they circled a few times, and it never came back up. Well, how could they do that? Well, they can go into another dimension. I don't know exactly how they do this, of course. I know one jumped off of a cliff, and I know the person personally. I've known him for years, him and another man, and they saw it jump off of a cliff. And they thought they'd find it dead at the bottom, and there was nothing there. So in midair, it went into another dimension.
Wow.
So, plus there are portals, extraterrestrial portals in space. There are terrestrial portals here where they can go in and out of, and other beings that are here that people don't realize are real go in and out of these portals too. But there's also aquatic portals. So my take on this was...
I want to touch on those. I'm going to take this break because aquatic portals, now we're getting into something really, really, really fascinating here. So stay tuned. More with Kelly and Kewaunee when we come back. FateMagRadio.com, Let'sTalkRadio.net. Get into chat. A lot of great conversation going on in there. People are waking up. They are waking up thanks to these two. And, of course, you're listening to Fate Radio Live. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Stay tuned.
In a world of many voices, there's just one that needs to be heard. Yours. Join the conversation at letstalkradio.net. Shopping, dining, beautiful lakes and rivers, and a monster? Welcome to Braxton County, West Virginia. Centrally located, Braxton County, West Virginia is the ideal place to visit. Natural beauty and recreation abound with 2 beautiful lakes for easy kayaking and canoeing, and many hiking trails. Did we mention the Flatwoods Monster? That's right. Visit Braxton County, West Virginia's Flatwoods Monster Museum and not only learn about the Flatwoods Monster, but walk in the same footsteps as the people who witnessed it. Nearly all of our attractions can be found within a few miles of Interstate 79. Visit us online at braxtonwv.org. That's braxtonwv.org. Braxton County, West Virginia. Center yourself here. Haunted, a psychic story by author and radio host Ariel Grace. This is not your average book of hauntings. Haunted, a psychic story is written from a psychic perspective and contains true stories and some handy tips. Written in 3 parts, Haunted, a Psychic Story contains chilling adventures, advice from the archangels, and helpful tips used by Ariel Grace to clear haunted homes around the globe. Haunted, a Psychic Story is available on Amazon, or you can download straight to your Kindle. Haunted, a Psychic Story by Ariel Grace. Get your copy today. If you've ever wondered what your dog, cat, bird, or any other animal is thinking or trying to tell you, now's the time to crack their code. Make this year the year you learn telepathic animal communication and begin using the intuitive and psychic abilities we all have to connect with other species. The free website Speak Good Human is the perfect place to start. Speak Good Human is the internet's largest free animal communication practice site. It features tips, advice, how-tos, and more than 100 animals ready to help you practice and build your skills through telepathic conversation. And each February and August, you can join the thousands of other learners worldwide for the Animal Communication Practice Challenge, when you'll get daily encouragement, inspiration, and camaraderie as you pursue your dream of talking with animals. Get in on the conversation at www.talktoanimals.weebly.com. That's talktoanimals.weebly.com. Or Google Speak Good Human. Not only will your companion animals thank you, but you'll finally be able to hear it. Of course, we didn't invent great sound. We perfected it. WGOG Digital Broadcasting. Let's talk.
.23 past the hour. Fate Radio Live. Todd Bates sitting here with you. My goodness, those of you coming in, welcome. Welcome. I know it's Friday night. You guys are coming in for your night out going, oh my goodness, I've got to get my Fate Radio fixed. Don't worry, you've got it. And you've missed a lot of great information, but don't worry, we've got you covered there too. And you can listen to it about 30 minutes after the live broadcast. We'll have it up there on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Play Music, and we always invite you to come listen to it on the website, letstalkradio.net. Just click on Fate Radio or your favorite program right there, and you'll find all the outlets you need to listen. And we're talking, of course, with Kewaunee and Kelly Lapseritis, and we're discussing the Sasquatch people, communication, how they travel, interdimensional travel. We're talking about aquatic portals now. Before the break, we were mentioning that, and this is something that I'm very, very fascinated in. A lot of you folks are there in chat as well. So here we go. Now, Kewaunee, before break, we mentioned aquatic portals, and we had to stop there. So let's get into some aquatic portals here, because they seem to be able to adapt to situations wherever they're at.
Yes, this is why they're so elusive. They even told me that the friendly ETs, and there's a few not so friendly, have bases here on Earth for millions of years. And many of them are in the oceans, and some in the Great Lakes, and some inside of dormant volcanoes. I know of 2 dormant volcano areas where they have an underground city. And so these things are real. It seems science fiction, but this is my experience. I don't. The truth is the truth. I don't know how else to put it.
Well, and for those just joining us, Kewaunee, you were talking at the beginning of the show how you were in complete denial. You thought all of this was just hogwash, and now you've changed your tune. It's a personal experience. So, those just tuning in, you just gain credibility there in my book. That's for sure, because this is a very complicated field. And there's a lot of science behind it, yet the science doesn't admit that it's even in there. I mean, that's what I don't understand. It's right in front of our faces, yet we're just swatting it away. Do you think it's because it has to be some kind of fear? Are we afraid that they're going to come take over or something? I mean, why else would we be in denial of all of this when it's so easy to understand that it's right there? It's all around us. Why are we in denial like this?
Well, everyone has different belief systems and view things differently. One medicine woman that was a traditionalist, I asked her years ago, I said, can you can a Sasquatch be killed? And she looked at me very sternly and said, how can you kill a spirit? And it was her way to say they're interdimensional.
Yeah.
Because they don't use that word in her tribe that way.
Okay.
So I didn't realize at the time, what is she talking about? They are physical, but then I always knew I had already had the experience of them standing in front of me, talking to me, waking me up at night. And I could see every movement, every wrinkle in their face, the pupils in their eyes when they moved, when they're in this other dimension, as a living apparition. And right beside my bed, 3 feet away, sorry, folks, I can't miss it. It's real.
Oh, wow.
Your question further, Todd, it really all boils down to fear. And that could be fear of many different things. It may not just be fear of the Sasquatch beings themselves, but it might be fear of ridicule. It might be fear of the unknown, or fear of something that doesn't go along with their belief system. But like I said before, there's dark forces and light forces, and they often refer to the darker ones, the lower lord, as like lower lords, or they could be called the cabal or something like that. But it's their intention to keep humans locked into our minds rather than connected to our soul. So that's, their agenda, and that's what they've been pushing for centuries, millennia. So that's kind of what humans have evolved into, and that causes society to lose their connection and empathy towards other life forms as well. We as humans, we've separated spiritual and scientific wisdom, making them both incomplete. So, both views of creationism and evolution are really limited, and they take our mind away from the whole universal truth of all things. And that's where so much fear comes in, because of how, religious ideologies have been, a part of our lives and, for hundreds of years. And, the truth is that it's both and it's neither. So it's religions and technologies and politics and all of those kinds of tendencies that really present the main threat to the continuity of spiritual evolution here on Earth. And, so some people are just, like I said, it's not like a hierarchy scale, like one is better than the other, one is more evolved than the other, but it's just different levels of consciousness, and all of it is necessary for us to live together peacefully. We have to teach one another different things. If we were all at the same level of consciousness, then that wouldn't be much fun, and there would be no purpose of incarnating here on Earth,
Exactly. And that's why, they're observing us like they are. What's sad is we have something that is out there. We know it's out there. It approaches you two. It communicates with you two. It has a very, very trustful and honest relationship with you two. Yet it's unethical for us to think that they exist because of what society might think, or because of our values, how we were, our upbringing, our religion, our beliefs. So we have one of the greatest things going, and we are just too worried about what other people think to even reach out and touch it.
That's why we're here, to kind of break that, because so what? What's wrong with the truth? There's new things being learned all the time. And, they're monitoring and watching us, and basically from another dimension. And one could look at it this way. Michael Talbot, who is a physicist that's author of the book Mysticism and the New Physics, he comments about UFOs, and it could easily be applied to the Sasquatch phenomenon, because he speaks of interdimensionalness. And I'm going to quote him here. It demonstrates that we're foolish to believe that what we perceive of as reality is all there is to reality. I think we exist on one channel, and it's quite possible that if we went to an alien planet, we might not see any civilization there. But if we could move up a channel, it might be filled with civilization. But they could just as easily exist on channels here on our own planet, or they could exist on levels of reality that may not even be organized. Their universe might not even be composed of planets and suns. They may exist in some region that has a structure so foreign and alien to ours that we couldn't conceive of it at this point, because we've never encountered reality organized in that particular fashion. End quote. So he's really talking about vibrational frequency.
Yes.
You go up a channel, you go up a higher vibrational frequency, and there's other beings there. This is what it's all about. This is what the Sasquatch, the UFO phenomena, the little people, the gnomes, the leprechauns, the flying humans, Mothman. These are all interdimensional beings visiting us. Some are from other star systems, but use these dimensions in order to travel or to dimension hop from one area to another. So it takes 2 weeks to cross 80 light years, something like that.
Right. That, oh my goodness, does that make it, that makes the mind wander. It makes it wander into areas I haven't turned that part of my brain on in quite some time, Kewaunee. Thank you for that. Now the whole room is filling with smoke. Because that makes sense. That makes sense to me, and that explains not just Sasquatch or the UFOs, but, you know, anything out there, just like you were talking about. The gnomes, the fairies, all of these little creatures that people are ridiculed if they follow them or feel that they're being just made fun of, which is ridiculous, because it is. It has to be around us. It's just it has to be. Where else would it go? I mean, it's what did Einstein? Energy cannot be destroyed, just transferred to something else. So it has to go somewhere. I don't know. This is just really fascinating. But we do have another question here for you from chat, and that is, what are the ETs up to? Friendly, helpful, monitoring, or something else? They're asking.
All of the above. All of the above. Yes, there's some that are friendly. There's ETs is an even broader topic than Sasquatch and humans combined, because there's so many different races of ETs, so many different solar systems and galaxies that they come from. So it's quite a broad topic. But in general, there's there's the ones that that you could label friendly, that have the same agenda that the Sasquatch is talking about. Of they want soul evolution on Earth. They want us to be connected with them ultimately, because it is the star elders that have created all these different races, the Sasquatch, the humans, and all the different races that were seated on this planet even before the Sasquatch were. See, but the Sasquatch were the first mammal people, but when Earth was in first creation, it was mostly a water planet. So the first beings that were here were the fish people or the mer people. And then they developed the ant people and the lizard people and the bird people. So there's been a really long evolution here on Earth before we even made it to mammals and then humans. So there's many different ETs that are very vested in this. There's some that are actively working to help humans. They might assist by healing us, teaching us different ancient wisdom, or even healing our physical bodies. There's other ones that are just indifferent. There's ones that, could be labeled evil, very negative, very evil. They want our souls. They want our planet, and they'll stop at nothing to, try to achieve their goal.
And you mentioned something, sorry to interrupt you, but you mentioned something about injury. Tell us about when you hurt your back and what the Sasquatch people did to help that.
Oh, both of us have a story. Which one?
Yes, that's it. That jogged a memory. Go ahead.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I injured my back when I was 20 years old, and I rebuilt it, you might say, and got strong, and it didn't bother me. But I reached a point where one day I was in my very early 40s, and all of a sudden I was visiting a friend. I walked in and sat down, and I went to get up, and I couldn't stand up. I was shocked by this, absolutely shocked, and I asked the guy to help me up, and he sat there giggling and started talking about something else. And he said, I kept repeating myself. He said, what are you joking for? What do you mean, help you? He said, I can't get up. I'm sorry, this is real. So he helped me to the car, and I made it. It was difficult, but I made it finally into my bed that night, and I made sure I put the phone. I'm glad I did by my bed, and I woke up in unbelievable pain. I had a ruptured disc, and so I couldn't walk, could not walk, and on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the worst, mine was a 10.5. I didn't look like the same person looking in the mirror because my face was cringing all the time, and I was only getting 3 and 4 hours sleep a night. So I was exhausted. I went to a doctor, and he said, gee, this is the worst case of a ruptured disc I've ever seen in the 20 years that I've been doing this, but you're going to have to see a specialist, a neurologist. So I saw a neurologist. I was in a wheelchair. And he looked at me and said, gee, this is the worst case of a ruptured disc I've ever seen in the 30 years that I've been a neurosurgeon. And he wanted to do surgery, and I said no. And he said, look, I'll give you some pills that'll kill the pain, but he said, when that's done, I guarantee you'll be back begging me to operate. And I don't know why, but I said to him, doctor, you'll never see me again. And I wheeled myself out, and I never got the prescription even for his, pills, Mm-hmm. But anyhow, I went home, and my friend was helping me, a friend of mine, and would drive me around. But I had to stay in bed. I was an invalid, and neighbors and friends would bring food and do my laundry. And this went on for 2 weeks, and I struggled and thought of everything I could, going back and forth to different doctors that thought they had something that could help. And finally I thought, I see spaceships going over here all the time, and the Sasquatch are here that must be associated with them, so I'm going to telepath to the ETs to see if they'll come and help me. I mean, I was desperate, and this was a shot in the dark. Like, I had no idea, but I was laying in bed all day long, and on my back, that's all, and all day, all night. So I started telepathing. I did for a whole day, nothing. And I did it all day long, and so I knew they heard me. And I said, what's going on here? And so I did it the second day, and by late afternoon, after doing it, I finally broke down and wept and wept. Mm-hmm. The pain was so bad, the frustration level was really bad, and I just felt totally lost and helpless. Being strong, I backpacked around the world to over 40 countries years ago and all that, and I stayed strong, and now I couldn't do anything. So that night, though, the second night when I shut the light off, there was shifting around behind me, and I turned around as best I could, and there were 3 right around 3.5 to 4 foot tall beings in spacesuits. And they said, we're here to heal you. Whoa. And I said, thank you, come ahead. And I put me out right away, and then about I don't know what the time frame was, but I heard a strange language in my head, and it woke me up. I became conscious, and there were 3 of them. One had a cylindrical object that was working on me beside me, and I just looked up at him, and I said, oh, it's you guys. I said, I love you. And I just, knew it was all good. That's exactly what I said. And before that, I said, I'm glad you're here. God bless you. Come ahead. And when I woke up in the morning, which was 10.5 hours later, I was completely rested and didn't have a bit of pain whatsoever. So I sat up at the edge of my bed and to say my morning prayers, to pray for world peace and so forth. And this was back 1987, and I sat there giggling and trying to finish my prayers, but I was giggling. I just knew a miracle had happened, but I still was in disbelief. I was like a little kid. But I got up and walked to the bathroom, and I could walk. But I noticed that I could have a short gait. So, and I stayed home all day, and there was pressure on my lower back, but there was no pain. that night, as soon as the light went off for about 10 o'clock, I put it off. They were there, and they said, we have to do one more healing on you, one more time. And I said, thank you. And they put me out, and in the morning, I could walk normal.
Wow.
And, and with no pain. And about a week or so later, I wanted to visit my friend once again in the wilderness. They had this 1,000-acre ranch. And I just realized it was on a Friday that I didn't have any money for gas. Back then, there were no ATMs or debit cards or anything. So I had to go to the bank, and I thought, Grinder, I'm 13 miles from Roseburg, Oregon, and I better get myself in there. Otherwise, I won't be able to draw any money out. I won't be able to go anywhere. So I drove in. It was on a Friday evening, and when I parked my car, I looked up at the watch, and it was 7 minutes to 5, and it closed at 5 o'clock. The bank did. So I'm jogging down the street, running as fast as I can in order to get to the bank in time. And when I got to the corner, the bank was just on the other side, but I had to wait about 1 more minute. But just as I got to the corner, I looked to my left, and one of the doctors that saw me was walking across the street.
You're kidding.
And he walked up to me, and he was bald-headed, and he started rubbing his head, pointing to my legs, and his mouth went up and down, but nothing was coming out. And I just said, have a nice day, doctor, and I jogged across to the bank. He just stood there with his mouth open, that's all.
That is amazing. Oh, my goodness. Oh, what are the odds? What are the odds of that happening? That is not a coincidence. Everything happens for a reason. That just proved it. And what I want to do, I want to take this final break, and then Kelly, I want to hear about your experience when we come back. This is an eye opener, folks. Really, really good stuff here. More with Kewaunee and Kelly when we come back. We're going to finish things up here and get your final questions there in chat. Let's talk radio.net, fatemag.com. More Fate Radio in just a few moments. Stay tuned.
Real people and not pre-recorded and regurgitated radio. WGOG DB Clearwater. Let's talk. Shopping, dining, beautiful lakes and rivers, and a monster? Welcome to Braxton County, West Virginia. Centrally located, Braxton County, West Virginia is the ideal place to visit. Natural beauty and recreation abound with 2 beautiful lakes for easy kayaking and canoeing, and many hiking trails. Did we mention the Flatwoods Monster? That's right. Visit Braxton County, West Virginia's Flatwoods Monster Museum and not only learn about the Flatwoods Monster, but walk in the same footsteps as the people who witnessed it. Nearly all of our attractions can be found within a few miles of Interstate 79. Visit us online at braxtonwv.org. That's braxtonwv.org. Braxton County, West Virginia. Center yourself here.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has delivered a one-of-a-kind reading experience covering everything from psychics, UFOs, paranormal investigations, and more. To subscribe, visit fatemag.com or call 828-702-3032. That's 828-702-3032. Subscribe and find your true reports of the strange and unknown at fatemag.com.
Haunted, a psychic story by author and radio host Ariel Grace. This is not your average book of hauntings. Haunted, a psychic story is written from a psychic perspective and contains true stories and some handy tips. Written in 3 parts, Haunted, a Psychic Story contains chilling adventures, advice from the archangels, and helpful tips used by Ariel Grace to clear haunted homes around the globe. Haunted, a Psychic Story is available on Amazon, or you can download straight to your Kindle. Haunted, a Psychic Story by Ariel Grace. Get your copy today. Let's Talk Radio.net.
7 minutes past the hour. Thank you, each and every one of you folks, for tuning in tonight live, Fate Radio. Wow, what an amazing show. And everything has been archived for you. Everything will be up and ready for you to download on your smartphones, your tablets, your Apple TVs, your iHearts, all the fun stuff. Everything's going to be up there about 30 minutes after the live broadcast. The best place to go to find your best place to listen to the past show is going to be letstalkradio.net. Different kind of mediums. You can subscribe all free of charge there. iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Play Music, whatever is easiest for you, whatever you like. That's how you can do it. And of course, we're talking with Kelly and Kewaunee Lapseritis, and there are so many different facets that we came into tonight. It was amazing, and we do have just a little bit of time here, but we just heard a very amazing story about Kewaunee's back injury and what happened. Talk about something right in your face like that. And Kelly, you said you had something similar happen to you. Did you want to share that with everyone?
Sure, yeah. It's also, there's been a few times where they've helped me physically in different situations, but specifically one time it was also my back. I've had some troubles with my back over the years, and I've learned to recognize when it's going to turn into a real problem, and I cannot sleep on my stomach at all. It really injures my back. And one evening I fell asleep on my stomach, and I woke up and I was in such horrible, horrible pain. It took me about 15 minutes just to flip over onto my back because I had to inch myself really carefully. And so the whole time I sat there and I prayed and I asked for help from the Star Elders and the Sasquatch people. And, as soon as I ended up back on my back, I fell right asleep and I woke up with absolutely no pain. And this was the kind of, I've done this before, and that kind of injury lasts for a couple weeks for me, where I'm feeling it for a while. And so I woke up with no pain, and they did confirm with me telepathically that they did help, and that they did help, especially because I asked, and because it wasn't like a karmic matter when it comes to free will or karmic things. They're not always able to assist with something. But with this, they did say that also specifically because I asked that they helped, and that's something that they remind me and others, and remind me to remind others, is just to ask for their help. That's something that we kind of forget to do, I don't know if it's pride or if you just think, oh, well, they're too busy and don't have the time to help me or something like that. But they encourage us to just ask and, with a humble heart and just, genuinely for whatever it is, if it's for the highest benefit of all, if you're asked, can I please win the lotto so I can get this new car I want, that's not going to work,
Right.
So, yes, when it's for health and healing and soul and consciousness evolution, they're always there willing to help.
Yeah, we've actually got a final question right here that pertains to that. And first, I want to personally thank Terry for the comment she put in chat. I did read that, Terry. Thank you so much. And I agree. I wish I could type. I would make a lot of noise doing that right now. But thank you, Terry. And she does have a question here. This makes you think. What she says is, I wonder if the miracles we hear of in stories on faith are really these beings doing this for us. Is it divine? That's, yeah. Or is them trying to lead us? Yeah.
It could be any number of different beings that are assisting, but, that's the point of what the Sasquatch really want us to know, is that there is so much going on beyond our physical reality. There's so many different beings and energies, and there's the elemental realms, there's the ETs, and then there's the, there's angels that assist, and then we also have ancestors, spirits of our loved ones that can assist, and there's so much going on. So different ones have different abilities, or they have things that they work more closely with. For example, when we think of angels, we think of these beings with these magnificent wings.
Right.
And the reason we think that actually is because the bird people that were here on Earth before the Sasquatch even were, they evolved their consciousness to the next level, and so they have a new role in what they do now. They're no longer, there might be a few that might choose to come back to Earth for some reason, but in general, now they're in guardian kind of role, and they are angels many times. Several of the bird people, and so angels may not be a beautiful woman with wings. It might be a being with a beak as well. But they're there to assist, and that's just one example. There's so many different ones that help with different things. That the elemental realms, like the fairies, do a lot for the earth and things like that.
Yeah, and I was in the same situation that Kewaunee was years ago in this denial with this with a lot of these different spiritual energies, and I'm slowly, because I'm in love with an intuitive, so she is definitely helping me get a better grasp on these, opening my mind, because I think. I'll say it, that my mind has been closed because I think I was afraid of being ridiculed if, you got some big beefy guy like me saying, okay, come on, little fairy, let's go have some fun. Help me out today. See, I mean, it's a pride thing, just like you mentioned. So hopefully these blocks get lifted from people and we can move past this, and just like what Terry said there, let them lead us the way we're supposed to be led, and just quit blocking it. I mean, it's starting to get old. We've got to have some changes coming up here.
When a person focuses on unconditional love and trust, and to walk that path, the white path of light, and they want people to reach out. How do you do that? By reaching out having more compassion, reaching out to people, being more empathetic towards others, not to be so self-centered and so forth, but to help other people seems to be a real big thing, and that's why the Sasquatch and ETs over the years went to Indian medicine people and other shamans all over the world, and I've been doing healing work for 42 years now. I'm a master herbalist and a holistic health consultant. My master's degree is in holistic health. So they came to me because I'm compassionate. I'm always helping people. So that raises a person's vibrations, and they know that, I'm nonviolent and that kind of thing, and how in my thinking.
Yes. They emphasize that the way to begin and heal ourselves and our collective karma is to practice unconditional love, understanding, acceptance, and to help one another. And they also emphasize that our attitudes and actions need to change to more compassionate ideals in order for our collective consciousness to change and heal our planet and all of the karma and drama that we've created through different incarnations. And, that's a difficult challenge without the help of a wiser and more evolved race who's greater in spiritual intellect than, we've ever given them credit for. So they're here to assist us in this process. And if we can accept, if we're willing to accept their help. But they can't do it for us. So, the healing of our collective karma and consciousness and the end of this paradigm, this reality that we're in right now, it all depends on our own decisions and actions. So they want to help guide us to make wiser decisions and actions.
Got to meet them halfway. You two are amazing. I can't wait to have you back on the show. Go ahead, Kewaunee. Go ahead.
Yes, to add to that, I'd like to say a Zen monk once said, and I quote, "All life in nature has a spiritual dimension and is sacred. When we honor other creatures as we do ourselves, we all evolve another step." End quote.
Again, Occam's razor. Something so simple, yet we make it so complicated. Oh, goodness. You two have opened up my eyes. The audience, they loved you. You're definitely going to be coming back here. We loved having you. And we do have just a couple minutes left in the program here. Time flies so fast. What I want to do, I want to turn the mic over to you two. You guys get out all the information you like, whatever you'd like to say. The mic is yours. You've got 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Yes, we're just a couple of Sasquatch whisperers here. But if people are interested in my book or information about what we're doing and about the Sasquatch Message to Humanity books, please go to www.psychicsasquatch.com, also www.sasquatchpeople.com. Please visit both of these sites to get more information. And Kelly's here to talk about our upcoming conference here and coming up this year, August 31st, September 1st and 2nd.
Yes, and I'd also like to add an additional website. It just launched last week. Sunbo, who's the author of the first 2 Message to Humanity books, he just launched a new website called ScenicsSasquatch.com. Scenic stands for Sasquatch Close Encounters Network of Interspecies Communication. So it's got a lot of our additional information. It's just another website that you can add that, has some great stories and information. But the great difference with his site now is that readers submit their stories. So already in the first week, there's 55 stories of, other telepathic or physical encounters that people have had that they've submitted. So there's some real great information to look over on that too. And again, that's Scenic, SCENIC, Sasquatch.com. And so I wanted to mention our upcoming conference and gathering too. This is our 3rd year now. It's called the Psychic Sasquatch Spiritual Retreat and Conference Gathering. We have it here where we live in Chewelah, Washington, up at the Chewelah Peak Learning Center, which is a beautiful wilderness facility. And people camp out there either in tents or RVs, or there's also lots of dorm bunks for people that want to stay indoors there. And there's a conference where we have several different speakers. It'll include Kewaunee and myself and Sunbo, the author of the first 2 Message to Humanity books. And then this year we'll have some additional speakers that we've never had before. Our special guest that we just confirmed the other day is Clifford Mahudi, the grandfather Zuni Pueblo elder that appeared on several different shows like Cosmic Disclosure and History Channel, Discovery Channel, several of those programming. So he's many people know of him and his connection with star elders. So he has some great insights from the Zuni Pueblo prophecies and things of the Sasquatch people and those type of beings that their native peoples have worked with. We also have Garrett Duncan, who's a Navajo shaman, and several others. Christina Schwind is a new speaker that we'll have this year. She's a multi-dimensional activator and accelerator, so she's a communication with the Sasquatch too, and has great insight. So anyway,
go ahead, get it out there. We're going over. Go ahead.
It's August 31st through September 2nd this year, and you can find more information at psychicsasquatch.com. But it's going to be a fabulous event with, we're expecting at least 250 people, and there'll be great opportunities to connect with the Sasquatch and to learn many of the different healing modalities and ancient wisdom practices that they really want us to learn.
Thank you so much. You two are amazing. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to come on Fate Radio. We're going to have you back here again real soon. You two take care.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Todd, for having me.
You are most welcome. And there they were, Kelly and Kewaunee Lapseritis. My goodness. What an amazing show. And you can find the archive's going to be up there in about 30 minutes. Just give me a little time here to button some things up, and you can listen to that right there at letstalkradio.net, because a lot of you just flooded in, and it's okay. It's okay. I'll have it up there shortly. So until next week, have a good week, folks.